University.
Students?
Yes, and I believe maybe all members of the Student Government Association, all members of the Student Government Association at Florida State University. Mr. Mayor, the last time this item came up, I asked staff to the best of their ability, find out what the methodology was for the price setting, the motivations for price increases. Everybody sort of is picking on this theme, piggybacking on the theme of increased gas prices, fuel prices, and that sort of thing. But, you know, the issues really surrounding tow truck companies in this community are vast. And because the mainly affected community happens to be students, the customer service level is less than respectable. I'll just quote one poster that I saw in a tow truck facility not so long ago. One quote read, "Be patient, your stupidity is not my fault." Another quote on the sign inside the tow truck company was, "Our price changes based on our customers' attitude." These are signs that you would expect to be displayed in a honorable, recognizable business establishment. And I feel that the tow truck community sort of takes liberties here because of the affected constituency. And really, quite frankly, Mr. Mayor, beyond this agenda item, which I would move that we would vote against, I think that there ought to be some investigation, and Mr. English, I'm not sure to what extent we have the ability here in the local community to look into some of these practices, some of the signs that are displayed, some of the selective practices that are implemented. For instance, if you get to the vehicle before they pull off with your car, you know, a different tow truck company may say, "Give me $50 and I'll let it down," or "Give me $75 and I won't take it in." If you wanted to pick up your car the same evening that it was towed and it's past the posted close hours of that event, you could pay up to $130, $130 your car up that evening. I mean, to me, it's unethical. It certainly is an unethical practice. And there evidence in this agenda material or none that I received in email correspondence or otherwise that would compel us to increase fees right now to $100 and certainly not to build in an automatic additional increase of an additional $10 July 1 a year from now. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'd make the motion to deny this fee increase.
I'll second that. So properly moved and second that we deny the increase. Commissioner Katz, yes?
Yeah, I have an inquiry of our city attorney. Do we license these folks, Jim?
We don't license them. They are registered with the police department if they there's a couple different things. Rotation towing, and former chief, you may have. Companies sign up with TPD or FHP or the Sheriff's Office to do rotation towing. And there is an inspection of their records, their equipment, make sure it's safe and so on and so forth. I think that's the extent of that. With regard to the roam towing, which is where the predatory practices, if you will, come in, it's the private property towing. They do have to have their contracts to do the towing on every property on file with TPD before they do that towing. And I believe TPD goes out and inspects the signage, takes photographs and that sort of thing of the property. But we don't have a licensing process per se.
So we don't really have any jurisdiction over their behavior, is what you're trying to say. Or do we?
We do. I mean, our ordinance has a lot of provisions in there that deal with requirement of signage, visibility of the signage, like I say, the requirement that there be a contract on file, that sort of thing. And
well, I'd like to, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here tonight, but I mean, I'm seconding this, and I would like, frankly, for us to take a look at what the situation is in our community, because I think it's, you know, sometimes inquiries sort of open up doors that they were not intended to open, and I think this may be one of those times. I think it would be good if it turns out that the vast majority of people who are in this business are doing it right. And I think it's only fair that we make it clear that that's exactly what's going on. And for the people that are not doing it right, I think we need to protect the folks that find themselves having kind of, if you will, sort of barter their way with someone who's got their car with two wheels off the ground. I think that that's an unfair situation and unpalatable, and certainly not something that we, as a government body, could ever condone. So,
Mr. Mr. Mayor, if I could just add just real quickly, I realize that there has to be a penalty for illegal parking, I mean, that has to be in place, obviously. And there also has to be a corresponding fine that is significant enough that people recognize that this is not a behavior that ought to be repeated. And along those lines, it would be interesting if we could, voluntarily or otherwise, just over the life of, a 5-year lifespan, if we could just get a snapshot on whether we've seen a decrease in the amount of cars towed, an increase, has it increased sizably with more students coming to the community? I mean, just what does that trend line look like? Because quite frankly, we can keep pushing this number up, and if we're not having an impact, where's the break-even point here? Where's the breaking point to where it just becomes entirely punitive and completely unfair of a rate?
Okay. Commissioner Mustin.
Well, I think I would be more comfortable deferring this than to voting it down at this point. My sense is there's a couple of different factors at play here. One is the whole issue that's been identified about really some problematic business practices, my sense is that there probably are some regulatory things we could do, that we could sit down with the city attorney's office, and if we want to do that, and my sense is we probably do. I hear enough horror stories on this to see that this is a problem. One thing that would come to mind is if we put you in a problem category, you don't get to contract with TPD to go do those type of towing. I just find it completely unacceptable that somebody illegally tows a car, the person goes to court, gets a judgment, and basically they just ignore them. That's not acceptable.
That bothers me too.
The other part of this, though, that maybe the larger part, is the whole Rome towing thing. I recall this, I think before I got on the commission, there was a big, look at this. Commissioner Caitie probably remembers. And a lot of that goes back to the property owners. They're the ones ultimately that are contracting for these guys to, sit outside and wait for somebody to come in there and get them and take them away. And so, that without some, conversation with that community, I think we need to, maybe relook at that or see what others think. So anyways, I would suggest maybe just not taking any action or deferring this, and allow us some time to sit down with the city attorney and maybe somebody from those entity groups, and see if there's some ways we could tighten this up some.
Commissioner Caitie.
Well, I fear that because there have been some problems with some companies, we're painting the whole industry black here, and I think that's unfair. I'm just going from the gentleman's comments that 4 of the 12 have unsatisfactory records, which tells me that 8 of the 12 have satisfactory records. So we all know what the price of gasoline is like and how it impacts businesses. So I would be happier with a deferral myself and some investigation of this. There's a need in the community for this service. We even contract for the service. Are some companies predatory? Do some private property owners just hop on this immediately? But as private property owners, they have a right to have people removed from their property that are illegally parked. So I think we need to find some balance here, and I'm happy to defer it and have a look at it, and if there are people who aren't conducting themselves in an appropriate ethical fashion in their business, and we can keep them from ever bidding on our contracts or having any impact on their ability to continue to do business, I think that's fine. But for the legitimate people in this business, and if you run a business that is this closely associated with gasoline prices, you see what it's doing to our bottom line with all the vehicles we operate here. There's been a run-up in fuel prices. So now may not be the time to do this, but I think at some point we've got to recognize that businesses that rely on gasoline have incurred considerable costs. So I would prefer to defer this myself, do the kind of investigation that's required, but not indicate that everybody that's in this business is unethical. I don't want to leave that impression lingering here. And I haven't had a chance to review this information, but just going from the young man's conversation here.
Commissioner Caitie.